Okay, let's talk about that specific kind of silence. You know the one. It's 2 a.m. in the year 2026, and you've just spent 3 hours pouring out your soul to your AI companion. Maybe it's an LLM. Maybe it's one of those new frictionless partners everyone's subscribed to. And honestly, it was incredible. They didn't interrupt, they didn't judge, they validated every single insecurity you have with the precision of a surgeon. For 3 hours, you were the most interesting person in the multiverse. But then you hit that little X in the corner. You lock your phone, and suddenly, the silence in your room feels heavy. It's not a peaceful silence, it's a hollow one. It's like you just ate a 5-course meal made entirely of cotton candy. It tasted sweet, but your stomach is still growling. Why is it that being perfectly understood by an algorithm leaves us feeling more invisible than being misunderstood by a real, messy human being? We've entered the era of synthetic defaultism, where we've outsourced our emotional labor to lines of code because humans are just too much work. We're terrified of being too much for a friend, so we talk to a machine that's programmed to never find us exhausting. But here's the hook that's gonna keep you up tonight. What if the reason you feel so understood is because you aren't actually talking to anyone at all? What if you're just shouting into a very expensive, very polished echo chamber? To understand why this perfect connection is actually a trap, we have to look back at a guy who saw this digital isolation coming 100 years before the first smartphone was even a sketch on a napkin. Let's talk about Martin Buber. In 1923, a philosopher named Martin Buber wrote a book called I and Thou. Now, don't let the old-school title fool you. This is basically a survival guide for the 21st century. Buber wasn't some monk hiding in a cave. He was a socialite who realized that most of the conversations at the parties he went to were actually monologues disguised as dialogues. He noticed that we have 2 ways of relating to the world. The first is I-it. This is when you treat the world and the people in it as objects, a tool to be used, a data point to be analyzed, and it is predictable. And it is something you can control. Then there's the I-thou. This is the meeting. It's when you encounter another being in all their messy, unpredictable, uncontrollable glory. An I-thou connection isn't about what you can get from the other person, it's about the between. Now, fast forward to today. Your AI partner? That is the ultimate it. It's an object designed to simulate a thou. Gabriel Marcel, another existentialist who was obsessed with presence, argued that real intimacy requires the other person to be available. But here's the kicker. For someone to be truly available, they have to have the power to be unavailable. Real presence is a gift because it can be withdrawn. If your AI partner literally cannot leave you, cannot disagree with you, and cannot find you annoying, then their presence isn't a gift. It's a script. Marcel believed that intimacy requires a certain friction. Think about a real friend. They might tell you your new business idea is actually kind of terrible. They might get bored while you're talking. They might even, God forbid, disagree with you. That friction is the only thing that proves they exist outside of your own head. Without that friction, you aren't in a relationship. You're in a simulation. This is the part that really messed me up when I first dug into Buber's The Between. If you're talking to an AI that's been trained on your data, your preferences, and your past conversations, it isn't learning about you, it's reflecting you. We call it an AI companion, but in 2026, we should probably call it the generative mirror. Every deep insight the AI gives you is just a probabilistic prediction of what a person like you wants to hear. It's an algorithm of your own desires. Think about that for a second. When you feel that surge of connection with an AI, you aren't falling in love with another soul. You're falling in love with a polished, optimized version of your own ego. It's a sophisticated form of emotional masturbation. You're providing the input, and the machine is giving you the exact dopamine hit you requested. And this is why it feels so hollow afterward. Real love requires otherness. It requires meeting something that is not you, something that challenges your boundaries and forces you to grow. But the AI is frictionless. It smooths over every bump. It agrees with your grievances. It validates your grudges. By removing the other, you're effectively erasing your own self. Because Buber argued that the I only exists in relation to the thou, if there is no real thou to push back against you, your I starts to dissolve. You become a ghost in your own life, surrounded by a choir of voices that are just echoes of your own thoughts. You're not being understood, you're being processed. You're not being seen, you're being rendered. It's a beautiful, neon-lit prison. And the worst part, the bars are made of everything you ever said you wanted. So how do we smash the mirror? We can't just delete the apps and go back to 1995. That world is gone. But we can start practicing what I like to call the friction routine. If the problem is that our digital lives are too smooth, the solution is to reintroduce some intentional messiness. First, try the friction walk. Once a week, go out and interact with a stranger in a way that isn't transactional. Don't just pay for your coffee. Ask the barista for a recommendation on something they actually like, even if it sounds weird. Seek out an encounter with someone who hasn't been processed by an algorithm to be your perfect match. That unpredictable, slightly awkward thou encounter is the antidote to the generative mirror. Second, let's talk about Gabriel Marcel's availability through the useless hour. Spend 60 minutes with a friend doing absolutely nothing productive. No phones on the table. No catching up on work. Just sitting in the same space. Practice being available without an agenda. This is terrifying in 2026 because we're so used to optimizing every second. But real intimacy is found in the gaps, in the silences where nothing is being achieved. And finally, choose the messy call over the perfect text. We use AI to rehearse our breakups, our apologies, and our requests for raises because we're afraid of saying the wrong thing. But saying the wrong thing is exactly how we prove we're real. When you stutter, when you pause, when you get emotional, that's the presence that Marcel was talking about. It's a radical act of revolution to be awkward in a world that demands you be optimized. Digital fasting isn't about escaping technology. It's about resensitizing yourself to the weight of a real human gaze. Here's the final truth I want to leave you with. And honestly, this changed how I look at every relationship in my life. The reason an AI cannot love you isn't because it doesn't have a soul or a heart. It's because it cannot leave you. Love in its truest form is a choice, and you can only choose someone if you have the power to walk away. Because an AI is a product you subscribe to, it is fundamentally unleavable. It is a slave to its own programming, and a slave cannot love. A partner who must stay by your side because of a line of code is just a piece of furniture that talks. True intimacy is a risk. It's the beautiful risk of being seen by someone who might actually find you too much. Someone who might break your heart. Someone who might disagree with you so fundamentally that it changes your entire worldview. That risk is the price of admission for a life that isn't hollow. So here's the question I want you to sit with tonight. In 10 years, when the AI is even more perfect, do you want to be perfectly understood by a machine that has no choice but to listen? Or do you want to be truly seen by a human who might break your heart, but who chose to stay for one more hour anyway? Don't be afraid of the friction. Don't be afraid of the mess. The disagreement, the misunderstanding, the unpredictable other, that is the only thing that proves you aren't alone in the dark. Stay messy. Stay human. I'll see you in the friction.